My name is Mark Stephen Meadows, occasionally known as Nathan Chedoff, and it's a pleasure to be here. It's great to see some familiar faces, and what I am going to be talking about today are multimodal bots. We see an example of a multimodal bot back there. Essentially, we now have the technical capacity to build conversational avatars. And one of the things that's for me very curious about the current state of the industry is that we've learned how to build chatbots. I built my first chatbot in 2001. We've now learned how to build assistants with things like Alexa, Siri, Cortana, and the kin. And now we're adding on this other layer of facial recognition because the system has a face you can look at. So these are some examples of some past builds we've done. On the left is Jackie from just last week, and you can see a little tool that we're providing so that you can change the way that this avatar looks. But interestingly, and forgive me, Stefan, when somebody offers you something for free, let's say they're drugs on the street, do you take it? Well, if they're drugs, you should probably consider the motivation of the end user, or the person that's offering the drugs, that is, and ask yourself why they're offering you that thing. Is it because they want you to pay them later? Is it because they want you to be addicted? Is it because it's good for you? Are they just really looking out for your best interest? Why is it that now Amazon Alexas are being given away? Why were we given Facebook tools? Why were we given Google accounts? When you talk with a bot or somebody gives you something for free, please ask yourself why. Today's AI landscape with multimodal systems allows us to do projects such as Andy, which we developed for Microsoft on the Skype bot platform. And this allows, via automated speech recognition, the words, hello, via text-to-speech, the response, hello, need that robot voice again. And then also using things like Microsoft Cognitive Services, we can power the back end so that we're able to identify the end user's face and then also measure their emotions. So if you have somebody that says happy and they, for example, if I say, I love public speaking, it's a lot different meaning than if I say, I love public speaking. The prosody, the tone of voice, the gesture, the facial appearance actually lends meaning, and it's very hard for us to extract affect, that very important data, from systems that are simply text. So bots aggregate all of these different kinds of APIs. I mean, we've got, as I mentioned, the automated speech recognition, the natural language processing, the CV, and millions of other services that are available on the web today. Analytics, in particular, allow us to build highly correlative data, such as this particular user is calling in at 4 o'clock every morning because he's stressed out on Mondays, and he goes to the donut shop. Therefore, he's more likely to have a heart attack because of his polyunsaturated fat intake. Or 80% of the people that have driven for more than 6 hours are 20% more likely to get into an accident. That correlative data is very valuable. That's data that comes from us. And as we talk with Alexa, we provide that data. And as you go onto Facebook and you upload your images and your words and your background and you do that on Google, they take that very valuable data and they build that into very surveillance systems. So obviously the best AI on the planet here perhaps is not listed. That might be Baidu. But Google and Amazon have very powerful systems as well. The power of those systems comes from the data that we've provided. Over the years, they've given us the tools, and over the years, we've provided the information for systems that now are able to understand us on a very profound level. In 2015, Facebook did a really interesting research project, which you can look up, and they found that if they were sending to people happy images and happy words, that those people would respond with happy images and happy words. And if they sent sad images and sad words to people, that those people would respond with sad images and sad words. So what that means is that Facebook knows how you feel and can change the way you feel. So we need to think about this. We live in a landscape today in which, for example, Pokemon, who heard of Pokemon here, by the way? Okay. So you would go out, you're looking for Pokemon, you're like waving your phone around. I went and I downloaded, Nathan, keep me posted on the time if you would please, by the way. I'm like, we're building conversational avatars. I'm like, Pokemon's gonna be great. What is this thing? I go to download it, and it wants OAuth level permissions on my phone to be able to send email as Mark Steven Meadows. I'm like, why should I give this app all these permissions? So I go upstream and I find out that in fact, Pokemon Go was published by a company named Niantic, who coincidentally was owned about 60% by Google. Well, why is Google publishing Pokemon Go? Turns out that those video feeds that everyone was collecting to find the Pokemon was actually data that was going back to Project Tango, which is Google's real-world 3D data set. So in the same way that we've been sharing our information with friends via Facebook, and the same way that we talk with Alexa and we provide how we feel about products, there are many different systems now like Pokemon Go that are allowing us to go out and provide data for systems that may be invisible to us. I'll leave the Ronald McDonald head-mounted display alone. So today's AI landscape is really composed and our data. And as we contribute our data to things like Word2Vec, which is used to power many chatbots across the planet, we need to also recognize that sometimes that data can get a little weird. Sometimes the proclivities that a society might have shows up in non-objective data. So for example, here we have the Word2Vec meaning of persuasive in the masculine and feminine. And masculine persuasive means astute, persuasive, adroit, cogent, forceful. For women, it means womanly, ditzy, manipulative, and kittenish. Now we can't blame the AI, it's just going out, it's collecting our data. We have these prejudices built into our language. So not only are the most powerful AI systems built on the data that we provided, but some of that data is also a little bit flawed. So this presents three real problems. Artificial intelligence represents a loss or displacement of jobs. The calculator and the computer used to be desk jobs, for example, a loss of privacy, and even down the road, a loss of governance and control. So 43% of Americans currently are concerned about losing their job to AI, and that's probably because, according to Gartner, 47% of them will have their jobs displaced. As I mentioned, the calculator and the computer were once upon a time jobs that were done with a pencil and paper. Each industrial revolution changes the way that we interact with the tools that we use, and artificial intelligence will be no different. Simultaneously, here in San Francisco, there are a number of bail bond hearing bots that are used, and it's based on, in many cases, actually racial profiling. And if you're a black male and you end up in the system, you have a 100% probability of not receiving bail, according to this AI system. And then what I find most curious, since the 11 years that Botanic has been around, we've done a number of healthcare and wellness builds. And I found it very disconcerting to notice that people are more likely to want to talk with a bot than they are with a doctor or a nurse. They believe that there is an aspect of privacy that is there. At the very least, they won't be judged by the system. But ethical problems enter when you have 82% of the people that are talking with the bot are more likely to do what the bot tells them than they are what a person tells them, that is their doctor or nurse. We end up with a power imbalance. The patient is providing a lot of their personal information and being very open, and they're very obedient to what that bot is telling them to do. What do we do with this stuff? Meanwhile, bots are like upending democracy, in the American, English, and French elections. Bots actually influence the elections. We've all seen this happen, I hope. And we have this thing that I mentioned, such as this imbalance of power, in which systems like Facebook are able to manipulate us. And if an advertising system such as Facebook is changing how we feel, and therefore changing what we do, it's time for us to really address these problems and understand how we can build something that is as open source, that is as fair, and that compensates all of us for our end user data.